All right, so Queen Elizabeth is perhaps one of the most famous leaders. I don't know, Queen Victoria may be a little bit more famous than her, but Queen Elizabeth is pretty darn famous. And in fact, they named the age after her, the Elizabethan age. We call it Elizabethan theater, the Elizabethan sonnet. All of these things come from Elizabeth. And this is one of the most famous portraits of Queen Elizabeth. It's painted by George Gower in 1588. So you can see that her hand is resting on the globe, which is symbolic. It demonstrates that she should be the empress of the world. She's wearing pearls, which are signs of her virginity and her innocence. She styled herself as the Virgin Queen. She never married. And in the back, you can see the defeat of the Spanish Armada via a storm. And there's a lot of other symbolic references. So Renaissance art was full of symbolism, but this picture is designed to present her as extraordinarily powerful, and it has all of the trappings of power and her victories associated with it. Right. So one of the things that is, I guess, one of the most famous things that the Renaissance contributes to the culture of the West is art. So the arts become especially important during Elizabeth's reign. She becomes a patron. She's very interested in literature. She's interested in theater. She's interested in art. She's interested in education and culture. And the sort of flowering achievement in many ways of Renaissance culture is Renaissance theater and the beautiful Renaissance language that develops through Renaissance poetry and Renaissance theater that you see highlighted in Shakespeare's plays. So you see Elizabeth on the right there in her beautiful gown. And after Elizabeth dies in 1603, she dies unmarried with no heir because she knew that if she were married, then that person would become the king and she would lose her political power. So instead, she played her rivals against each other, always pretending she was going to marry somebody and never marrying anybody. And she used to always argue that she was married to England. England was her husband. So she couldn't cheat on England with some man. And that's why she styled herself as the Virgin Queen, because she never married. So then obviously in theory she must be a virgin. When she dies, King James of Scotland takes over. So he was King James VI of Scotland, and he takes over when she dies, and that unites England and Scotland, which was an ongoing issue between them. England kept trying to take over Scotland and Ireland for a long time. They finally do take over Scotland. They only take over half of Ireland, a situation which remained with the split between Northern Ireland and Ireland. And still, part of Ireland is in the UK and part isn't. King James takes over. He becomes James I of England, and then he becomes the patron of Shakespeare's acting company, the King's Men. He also is a huge patron of theater and the arts, and he and his wife, Queen Anne, had basically two separate courts in a sense, where Anne was a patron of like the arts, and she used to do masks and all these crazy theatrical performances, and James did too. But James was far more interested in his young male followers and courtiers than in his wife. They did have a sexual relationship because they produced an heir, but James was engaged more in homoerotic relationships than in heterosexual ones. And his court was very lavish, and he spent a lot of money, which is part of what catalyzes this next thing that I'm going to be telling you about.